Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza, Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza, Qhakaza.
Hello guys, welcome back to Qhakaza Mntase. My name is Vivian and today we have a special guest with us.
And my name is Anokuhle Kasalapatwa, and once more, welcome to the all-new Qhakaza Mntase.
Let us give a shout out to our sponsors, Captain Joe's, Tough, X-Roll Studios, Sihle and Kenak Photography, and Just Guys Photography.
And if you look at the bottom of your screen right now, you should be seeing the links to all our social media pages. Do follow, do like, do share, and please subscribe to Qhakaza Mntase.
Our special guest, hello sir,
How's it? Thanks socially.
Mr. Chaz, the artist. The artist.
ChazArt.
Not only in Cape Town, but in South Africa. And not only in South Africa, globally. Your art speaks for you, speaks volume. Can you please introduce yourself to the Qhakaza Mntase community and everybody going to there?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for having me. Firstly, this is really, really cool. You guys lose me on the clicks and the Zulu a bit, but you get you. Cheers. Yeah, my name's Chaz Williams. Most people call me ChazArt, and I am a professional fine artist here. Born and bred in Cape Town. Most of my work goes overseas. But I try and stay true to South Africa and South African topics and fields, and try and grow the Cape Town community of artists as much as I can. Yeah.
Brilliant. Chaz, at Qhakaza Mntase, we like to get to know the real individual. You know, your work speaks for itself. It's amazing. But I think your fans, your supporters would really like to know who is Chaz. So talk to us about your upbringing. Talk to us about family. Talk to us about how all of that has influenced the man that is Chaz today.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. I think a lot of people are like, how do you become, what happens in your life to become a professional artist, you know? You know, like how dyslexic was I, kind of thing, you know? How bad was I at school? So it is an interesting question. I think a lot of people, you know, it's like singing. Everyone can sing. Just for Jane. A lot of people sing in the shower, sing in the car. And the fact that they're not good at it doesn't put them off. Same with maths. We all do math, you know. But none of us are good at it. But, you know, we don't stop doing it. Art is this thing where it's like, I'm not good at art. I'm done with it, you know. And I think that is the problem. We all love it when we start, when we're young, you know. We're little kids and we love colors and we like to be tactile and we like to express ourselves through art. And then you kind of lose it because you're like, I'm a grown up now. I want to be a grown up. I'm not a child. Or in my case, I went to Wynberg Boys, and if we're saying even know about a boys' school, is art is not high, you know, on the cool list. You want to be a first-team rugby player and stuff like that. So I think I'm just a product of art was never shown to me as a forced career option. It was always shown to me as like, keep it fun, you know, and use it as a creative outlet. I think because of that, I never really grew like tired of it.
Yeah.
And I always loved it. And I just stuck with it. Cape Town born, went to Wynberg Boys, very, very sort of standard Wynberg Boys career. Wanted to be a Springbok, like I think every other player, every other kid. Left school. Like I said, didn't care much about art. You know, it wasn't a big deal. It was just something that came so easy to me. I spent most of my time drawing Bob Marley's and bloody pretty girls for my mates. And then when my buddies started having babies, I was drawing babies and that. And then it just kicked off. At the same time, I had always been a boxer, and I just went into quite a serious boxing career for about 13 years. You know, painting and punching. And every now and again, the people from, like, say, the northern suburbs who knew me only for boxing would be the people from the southern suburbs that only knew me for art, and they're like, are there two Chazes in this town? What the hell's going on? And then, just through life experience, I think more than anything else, and hardships and dealing with tough times, you realize that art, it was made for that, you know? And I think that's what I feel very strongly about. And if I could get anything across in this interview, it would be art is not Chardonnay drinking white ladies, you know, sitting in their gardens painting flowers. It is the Rolls Royce of any art, you know, whether it's music, acting, whatever. It sits at the top. Not just painting, oil painting is the number one art form of all time. You know, there were these guys like Qhakaza and Raphael and all the Ninja Turtles, and they were like living gods, you know, two people. And there's a reason why you can flip a painting on Sotheby's for $500 million easy, because that's how it is still renowned. And I think that's what that's when art became a thing for me. I was like, I've got something to say, you know, something he's constructive and negative and powerful and emotive. And I think once I had something to say, art just took off. And because I was saying something in my art, I think people started to listen, and then suddenly I have this career, and I'm sitting at
amazing
shows like this. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like you've already spoken about what I wanted to ask you about. How did you not play Ravi and go into to arts?
Yeah.
To painting, but you've already answered me on that. But my question is, before you see a plain canvas, what's your mantra? What do you do? What inspires you when you take that paintbrush and just paint on that canvas?
Yeah, that's a very good question. They say there's nothing more scary than a white canvas, you know. True. And I could paint 1,000 paintings. Every now and again, I sit there and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this again. It's done, you know. There's a famous saying. It says, everyone has one book in them. Almost no one has two. And I often feel like over the white canvas, I'm like, oh my God, I'm done. I have nothing to say, you know. But I think what helps me, and I hope people can relate to this, young artists can relate to this, is the rules that you set up for your art is only in your head. There are no rules. So what I do is I say, okay, I've done realism portraits, I've done commissions, and what about something for myself? You know, if I'm struggling in front of a white canvas, what about something for me? And those normally sell within a week, you know, to some fancy guy in like Germany or something like that. And that's how I'm mixing up, because a white canvas is scary. And when it's your job and your career, there is a mindset of, I need to churn out, I need to make money, I need to churn out work, and you get these lulls, and a white canvas becomes the most terrifying thing in the world. I know that sounds so white collar of me, but you know, I can see why old Vincent cut his ear off, you know. So yeah, how I approach that is, this is my job. I'm not artsy, I'm an artist. It's a career. An artist is not someone that runs around in fields of sunflowers, you know, skipping to trance music. It's a job that I study and I work at every day. So sometimes you got to be like, everyone's going to work, you got to go to work too. I am not creative, I am a creative. You know, all those sort of things to realize, if you want to be a professional artist, you've got to start with being professional and get yourself over those humps and get to work. So how I navigate that is I kind of flip between subject matter and I flip between styles, and I get myself sort of amped, you know? But like says, I get myself amped to take on something new. Because there's a big lull. People don't realize that I sit with a painting sometimes 2 months. That painting is like my best friend. You know, I know every part of that painting. I know in my mindset, my emotional states, and what is happening in my own life when I was doing that painting. And then when it's done, you're almost saying goodbye to a friend you'll never see again. And you hope that they go to a nice place and they're looked after, and then you reset to nothing. I'm coming across crazy artsy woohoo here, but that is genuinely how it feels. You put everything over a couple months into a piece, and you know every part of this piece. I paint a lot of women, and I feel that way. It's like I know this woman because I created her, or her emotions, or her facial expressions I've created.
Yeah.
And then gone. You need to get over that very soon and get on to the next piece.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And the love in that, you know, in terms of what you do, you know, and it speaks to, this is not just something you come across and you're like, you know, here today, gone tomorrow type of thing. It really is you. Chaz, you've done amazing work, and I think the sort of success that you've had, you know, would inspire any artist that's out there, right? Now, I hear you when you say, for example, I'm not artsy, I'm an artist, you know, I'm not creative, I am
A creator.
a creator.
Yeah.
But in terms of basics, and I suppose to simplify it to another artist out there, because you know I've been around a lot of artists, and I've also been around a lot of, you know, sort of corporate and other leaders in the space, and there's always a sort of negative emotion at times attached to artists with regards to their attitude, right? In terms of discipline, work ethic, and those type of things, right? Which is something that you've aced, and you've become the big brand that you are because of that. How does that artist change their mindset, you know, and get that discipline that would take them to the next level, you know?
Yeah, I think that is the answer, seeing it as a discipline and as a profession, you know. You know that saying, ignorance is bliss, and ignorance is bliss. You know, if you know nothing about art, you love all art. You know, where I've chosen this, which means that 99% of art actually doesn't appeal to me because I've become such an expert in it. And I think seeing the art as a serious job, but keeping the love for it and the love of creation, I think is so important. And I think if I could get that across, I've got this little charity called Brush, and I go into townships and I teach art and stuff like that. And it's really cool. I end up, it's like jungle gym for the kids more than anything else. They ask me if I'm the same size as John Cena, you know. But what I try and get across to them is you have such unique minds, and everyone here. If I say everyone here draw a fish, you know, if there's 30 kids, there'll be 30 different fish, you know, and where does that go? When do they lose that? And that's what I try and get across. Is like there is a career in this. It's fun, but there is a career in this. I was very lucky because I came in at a very high level. I came into the market selling for over 100 grand on day one.
Wow.
And I was really fortunate. I had people in finance and I had art investors almost waiting for me to hit the market, and then took me under their wing straight away. Now, not everyone has that luxury, so I get it. But that first step to become a selling artist, it is quick, and you can do it quickly.
Okay.
But you got to know that once it's there, you are no longer artsy. you're no longer creative. You're an artist, and you're a creative, and you have responsibility to yourself and to your profession to keep pushing and keep evolving, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Chaz, I just read that you lost a farm recently
Yeah.
and you lost a new child.
Yes.
Did that affect your work, or was your work the outlet to actually pour out the grief and
Yeah.
the mere shock of what happened or what was happening in that time?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And yeah, I won't get too deep into it, but obviously it was very dark. I had my son was 9 weeks in NICU. My wife was in ICU getting blood transfusions. At the same time, I lost my dad. And to make things worse, I had a 9-month-old child at home. So it was crazy. And that is almost a reiteration of what I was saying, is that no one, there's that poem, who will cry for the little boy, no one will cry for you. The bills still come in. Your duties are leveled up. You're running a home yourself. You've got family who are in turmoil. My dad was my best mate, and what I realized is it's a test. If you're talking art specifically, it's the test of your commitment to the profession. Because that art bias, stumped home, means more to him than my life being flipped upside down. And that's worth everyone knowing anyway. Whatever drama you have, someone else has it way worse, even though it's way more minimal.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just like, head down, I need to work. And you touched on something which is so true in that I found myself going into dark colors and dark subject matter and stuff like that. And I had to pull myself out of it and use art as, for whatever art sessions I could get in a day, make it appeal to the people who invest in you. Be loyal to the people who have invested in ChazArt and to people who continue to invest in ChazArt, and let that be my outlet, And then, it's over. You're back to reality, and it's hell. And you knuckle down, you work hard, you be a good dad and a good son and a good brother, and a good husband. And then you get maybe a little 40-minute window where you can get sucked back into this world again, and it can be your escape. But you got to keep, if you make a commitment to it, you got to keep being a professional artist. And I think it's that escapism that helped me. Yeah, that and whiskey. That helped me.
Not too much of it. Cheers. Yeah, man. Sorry to hear all of that once more. But I think I praise you in terms of being able to maintain that balance through all of that, and being able to reason with your own self first, around the circle, or the wheel rather, continuing to turn, and you needing to keep it turning. So from man to man, respect.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Chaz, I'm gonna flip the script a little bit, so it's loosen it up a little bit. Yeah, dude, we spoke to you being a boxer, right? And you were successful in that space, right? You are an artist. You are successful in that space, right? We haven't gotten to it, and I'd really like to also get into the fact that you also run an ad agency, and you are successful at it. What is it, man? What's the formula, right? I'd like you to touch on that a bit, but also it's these two worlds. How do they, extremes, in terms of what you call it, painting and punching.
That is a question I get asked a lot, and I think I'm a partner in an ad agency. I've taken as much of a backseat as I can. I love business, and I think maybe that's the issue a lot of artists feel, is that they are artsy, creative people who don't know business. I love business. And I've loved my agency. I've been a partner in it for 14 years. It's like a child of mine.
Yeah.
I will I will give you an analogy. So open your mind, because this one is wild.
Okay.
Boxing and art are very similar. And I'll tell you why. Take prep for a fight. I've got a fight signed up. I'm southpaw. He's a little orthodox guy, like a duck. And he's going to come in and he's going to throw hooks.
Yes.
And my coach says to me, this guy's going to come in and throw hooks. I need you to keep a distance. I need you to throw a long jab. I need you to pivot on the jab. She goes, okay, cool. Now, how do I do that? You know, how do I'm in the middle of a fight. You want me to now do this? The information goes into my head. I work it out in my head. I practice it. And then in a fight, I could execute it. And if you can get that neural pathway working beautifully, you'll be a beautiful boxer.
Okay.
You know, if this little oak's coming in, keep him away, pivot on the long hook, go back, keep the distance.
Yeah.
My coach has told me that. I've summarized it in my head.
By the way.
Yeah. We after this weekend.
It's all right.
So my coach told me that it's got in my head. I've sorted it out in my head, and I've applied it in a fight. Art is about seeing a visual, putting it in your head, making it your own visual, deconstructing how you want to take it on, and then applying it on a canvas. And if you look at it like that, I told you this one was a little out there. If you look at it like that,
Sure.
they're very, very similar. If you take away the aggression of boxing, remember, it's not fighting, this is boxing, it's a sport. If you take away the facade of tough guys, if you take away the pain element and you break it down, a good boxer is a boxer who can get told something, they can put it in their head, they can deconstruct it to how they feel comfortable with it, and they can apply it. And that is, for me, that is art. You know, you gotta picture it, yeah. Otherwise, you just, you know, again, you some bookie on a weekend gesticulating her emotions on canvas, where that's on me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all about. It's a mind game. Very much so. It's a mind game, and I deconstruct, I summarize, and I work out what do I want this piece to look like. What style, what technique, how big do I want the piece to be, everything. What's the emotion I want to get?
Sure.
And then I apply it. So if it's a 3-step process, it's exactly the same, you know?
Okay.
So there we go. Obviously, one gives you a lot more arthritis in the hand. And a disfigured face at first. But essentially, you know, and that's why I say it's a discipline. Art is a discipline. No one woke up and became the best at anything without trying. You know, there's a million Michael Jordan quotes on this sort of stuff. And if you apply that to art, which very few people do, if you apply it to art, she's like, you could take over, man.
Remarkable. Who did you look up to? Who are your artists, creatives? You like, you know?
My muse.
Yes. Who are those people for you?
I think my mom, more than anyone, my mother. My mom's the best artist I know. And she's also the person I phone on the way home from my studio when I'm like, I can't do this. I'm done with this. I don't know what I was thinking, you know. So I definitely think when it comes to a muse of mine internally that affects my life, it is my mom. She has an eye in art that I've just never seen before, and I don't have, you know. But I think when it comes to, if we look at all the amazing artists, you know, there are amazing South African artists. A lot of them have gone offshore. But there's guys like Ryan Newitt, a Canadian artist who, Ryan Newitt's South African, but there's a guy by the name of Andrew Salgado. He's a Canadian artist who lives in London now. Also amazing artists that I absolutely love. When it comes to the greats, I love a little Vincent van Gogh. Also, if you go visit his a museum, it's pretty fun because it's in Amsterdam, so you're gonna have a good time. But just don't forget to visit the museum. I really like him, and I like his story. You know, he was a failure in life, And then he became a big deal, afterwards. But I think I love his story. He was a guy that was so dog-headed and so confident that he set up an artist colony. Now, no one came, and he ended up shooting himself in the stomach and whatever. But the boldness of that, I love, because you got to play a hand. In art, you got to play a hand. You got to go, He did a style that no one else had done, ever. That's why he's renowned and famous. He showed emotional state and mindsets through color and abstraction, which was at that time never been done before. He never sold a painting, or there was something about he sold a painting to his brother, or his brother gave him pity money or something like that. So this guy, he did a style no one had done before. He built an artist colony in the middle of nowhere that no one went to. He couldn't sell a piece. No galleries took him. Yet nothing put him off. He was like a savage.
Kept going.
Yeah, he kept going. Now think of all the things that I pride myself in and what I hold in high regard. This fella was just doing it, At the same time, he had, I don't know how many STDs. He was an alcoholic. I mean, because his brain was about to melt out of his ears. But he was so dog-headed. He came to the task, and I love that, And now we geez, he changed the world. I tell you, interesting thing about him is, if I say Vincent van Gogh, you can picture him.
Yeah.
A ginger guy with a missing ear. There's no photo of him. There's no portrait photo that exists of Vincent van Gogh. The picture you're seeing is because he painted himself 1,000 times. And it's crazy to think the effect this weird little guy had on the world, And even though his styles now, is moved on, he still played a hand, committed, and he's affected the world forever. And I think that, when it comes to artists that I wish I could sit down and have a chat with, or in his case, a drink with, baby, it would be guys like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Chaz, you've done amazing things, man. I mean, you were fortunate enough to come in and sort of, be at a level amongst the best, You've done great works that I think one is in the U.S. Embassy. You've sold pieces to the Tutu Foundation. Amongst those, you've done great paintings, and I understand one of your favorite ones is of the big man himself, like Coffee, right? You've done Sia Kolis, right? And that got toured and sold for fortune, as I understand it. What is the next challenge? If you've done all these great things, and at your age, right? And there being such a lot ahead of you still, right? But you've done all this amazing work already. What becomes the challenge? What's the next big thing that you sort of set for yourself?
Well, I think a challenge would be to get Black Coffee to tag me in a post. That would be so cool. That was very surreal. He messaged me and he was like, "Hey man, I'm a big fan," and I was like, "This internet troll is going to ask me for money." and then I went to his profile. I was like, "Louise, how does this guy even know who I am?" That was really, really cool. Yeah, I've done a couple really cool things in art, but that just seemed so, I don't know, there's something special about that one.
Yeah.
I'm very clear about money and selling for money. I'm not ashamed of it, and I always talk about it. And I want to be the highest selling artist in South Africa, and then I want to go further international.
Okay.
I want to be the best. I dedicate my life to this.
Good.
And I think that a good way of keeping score is money and it's finance. And I've never sold. I've gone up to $500,000. I've never sold a painting for R1 million. I think that is a goal. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, yeah. Rather to it, but to do it. And I want to do that. It's a milestone for me. I owe it. I owe it to the people in my life that have sacrificed a lot to let me paint, you know, and I owe it. And I think this is where I say I pitch myself as an investment artist above anything.
Yeah.
I owe it to the people who have invested in me. There are people that buy my art and put it in storage because they back me and they want to invest in me. They don't want the art to get ruined. I've never given a person a deal on a piece of art just to put money in my pockets. Every piece I sell is for the people who have invested in me.
Wow.
And I think it's a fundamental difference. You know, if it's the last day of a show and I've got 5 pieces left, I'm not going to be like, hey, what do you got? Cool, 20K. Okay, you have, you know, everything I do is for the people who have invested in me. And for me to turn around and say, I'm now R1 million a piece honest. Thank you for investing in me and congratulations. You now have a exponentially more valuable piece of art. That is my biggest goal. Other goals that I'd really like to achieve, like I said, I put a lot into charity. I've raised maybe 15 million for charities in my career. And I've helped fund almost single-handedly fund child rape courts in Cape Town with auctions. I've done auctions, sold pieces to the Kennedy family, the Tutu family, John Lewis himself, the U.S. Embassy. And I think if you can help, and one day when you need it, someone will be there. And when I see, it's weird to talk about charity without sounding like another charity person, but it's a big deal for me. And it's the way how creative our young people are.
Yeah.
There's Pablo Picasso saying that he says, it took me 40 years to paint like Raphael. It took me a lifetime to paint like a child. And what he means is children are the only real unique thinkers. And then they get molded, you lose them. But when they are young, they are the only real unique, it's the only real unique thought in the world is a kid. And if that kid wants to be creative, it's something this country needs to protect and help. And get them to become professionals and get them to be their best. And I said, I've been working with Nowatembo Tambo, and we've been helping this little fella, so a creative oak who's got more talent in his pinky than I have. And he's living in a township in Joburg.
Okay.
And we've been working together, and just to see that all this guy needed was paint and a canvas.
Yeah.
He was taping pieces of cardboard together. And now he's flourishing, and I don't think we're too far away from me asking him for advice, you know? And it just shows, you know, it's like, it kills me that these guys are, because you need finance to start. And I think that it kills me. It kills me that these little creatives don't have financial support, and they don't have the emotional support to be like, go get it, bro. You best go get it. So I think that is, if I have a legacy, I would want it to be that, you know, 100%.
Mr. Chaz, you are really at home at Qhakaza Mntase home because you've answered everything I wanted to ask. Every questionnaire I had, you answered it because you felt at home. You know, here at Qhakaza Mntase, we want our guests to feel at home. And it's so remarkable. So the work you've done is very remarkable. And kudos to you and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you.
Chaz, thank you very much for gracing us. It's been an absolutely amazing time. Congratulations and all the very best. Is there anything as we say goodbye to you that you'd like to say to your supporters, your fans?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on. You and I, we've known each other for a long time. And I always ask you and you always say, no, I can't come myself. No, I'm joking. But thank you so much for having me on. And thank you to everyone who's followed my journey. Everyone who DMs me, asking me odd questions, I love it. I love helping people out. I love talking about art. I learn from people starting out as much as I learn from financial investors. So thank you for that. Thank you for the following. And join me on this journey.
Yes, sir. And to you at home, we thank you for once more joining us on Qhakaza Mntase. From myself,
And me, Vivian.
it is Qhakaza Mntase.
Mntase.
Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza, Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza Mntase sithi Mntase Qhakaza. Qhakaza.